No need to tell your kids about the 8-4 Baylor Bears. They already know. Let's get locked on Baylor post-game.
You are Locked On Baylor, your daily podcast on the Baylor Bears. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello there, Bears fans. Welcome to another episode of Locked On Baylor Postgame, your number one destination for Baylor football postgame shows. I'm your host, Cam Stewart of ESPN Central Texas and the Cam Show on YouTube. Thanks for making it your first listen today and every day. The Bears make it 6, count it, 6 in a row to end the regular season at 8-4. They just dismantle the Kansas Jayhawks, a team coming in that, yes, it was one of the hottest teams in the country, but so were the Bears. 45-17 the final as Baylor just rolls over the Kansas Jayhawks, finishing the regular season at 8-4, and now scoreboard watching to see whether they will go to the Big 12 championship game next week in Arlington. They need each of Arizona State, BYU, and Iowa State to lose. And we might be packing this one in early. Arizona just showing no fight whatsoever. The Sun Devils about to go up 28-0 in Tucson. God, that Arizona team stinks. That was supposed to be one of the teams that was going to come in and run this conference. Them and Utah were like battling over which team was going to come from the pack and run this conference. They both suck. They suck. Go back to the pack. Go back to the Mountain West, man. You don't belong in this conference. Oof. But at least they're not Oklahoma State. And no one can be Baylor, which looks like one of the best teams in the conference right now. Like if this season was a month long and it started the beginning of October, this would be the best team in the Big 12. But that's not how it works. Bears, just what an onslaught today. I was thinking that Baylor was going to win this game. I was not expecting that. I was not expecting to look up in the middle of the third quarter and be like, they are kicking the crap out of them. When it was 35-10, I was like, this game is over, like so over. And I just wasn't expecting that with how well this Kansas team has been playing, especially offensively. And Baylor had it. Baylor had it today. And I said during the week, like, Dave Aranda has one of those games a year where he is just scheming up a game plan that he is going to absolutely cook with in a game. And I don't even, this might have been it. This might have been it. For as good as Kansas's numbers are offensively, they only scored 17 points and they turned the ball over 3 times. Because by looking at the stats, you'd be like, this is at least a game. Right? I mean, they end up with 491 total yards, good balance, 280 to 211 pass yards to rush yards. They averaged 9 yards per play, 9, and 23 yards per completion. And they lost by 4 touchdowns. That's how good this Baylor team is. Like, again, this was a team that is the first team in the history of FBS to win 3 straight games against ranked teams while they have a losing record. And Baylor just picked them apart today, and they had all of it to play for. All of the marbles were still there. They needed to win today to go to a bowl game. And Baylor just worked them throughout this game. The StatCast says they had 51 minutes time of possession. So I don't think that's correct. I don't think there were 77 minutes in this game. So maybe, I guess, take with a grain of salt whatever else I'm reading off of here. The rest of the stuff looks pretty accurate, but I don't think they had 51 minutes of possession in this one. Bryson Washington, fantastic again. Just 4 yards off his career high, 28 attempts for 192 and 2 touchdowns, 7 yards a carry. And then how about your backup, your quote-unquote backup, your 1A, Dawson Pendergrass, 11 carries for 104, a touchdown reception and 9.5 yards per carry. Josh Cameron, the man, 8 catches for 102 and a touchdown. Monterey Baldwin, how about that for his senior day? There were some people asking all year, why aren't they giving the ball to Monterey more? And I would say, well, he's dropped some passes. He hasn't broke some tackles. Like maybe there should have been more looks at him during the year, but I could see why there wasn't. But 7 catches for 119 and 2 touchdowns, 58 yards after contact today. Like, there we go. 7 catches on 8 targets, 2 touchdowns. He was killing them in the first half. Like, that's what we expect. I mean, it's better than what we expect. It's a hell of a game. So it was spread out all over the place. And, of course, Sawyer Robertson, just fantastic. I saw that sign at McLean that said, thankful for Sawyer. We should all be. 23 of 31 for 310 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks. Completed 74% of his passes. Have mercy. That is an awesome quarterback game. And how many times have we said that about this kid this year? On the other side, Jalen Daniels, supposed to be this electrifying quarterback, 12 of 23 for 280, no touchdowns, 2 picks. Couldn't hold a candle to Sawyer Robertson in this game. And before the season, we were calling Jalen Daniels all Big 12 quarterback. We were calling Sawyer Robertson the backup quarterback. There is nothing backup about Sawyer Robertson, except for the fact that he backs it up every time he's out there. Has one bad game last week, turns it into one of his best games of the season the week after in a money game. My gosh, this team is good. This team is really good. And again, they might have got the time of possession thing wrong, but the StatCast also says they ran 81 plays. There are some people who are going to poo-poo this and who are going to downplay this because they haven't won a Big 12 championship. But this offense under Spavital right now, this team is looking like a Bryles team from 10 years ago. Like, this screams it at all angles. 81 plays, 7.5 yards per play. Another game of 45 points. Another time where the defense gives up a bunch of yards, man. But they turn them over 3 times and have a massive 4th and 2 stop or 4th and 1 stop in the late third, early fourth quarter. Like, that's what those teams did. That's exactly what those teams looked like. What we've seen from Baylor the last 2 months. That is what those teams looked like. 603 total yards of offense. I'll say that's what they looked like. And it's unfortunately probably not going to end up in the Big 12 championship game because there's so many shoulda, woulda, couldas, so many what ifs from the early part of the season that if they did this or they finished this game off, they'd probably be there. And that's true. And that kind of stinks. But the way that they finished this season was incredible. There weren't many of you out there, myself very much included, at 2-4 in that Iowa State postgame where I was sat right here, desolate, distraught. None of us were saying, hey, here comes 6 wins in a row. There were some of you that were optimistic that were saying, hey, they could still make a bowl game with the schedule. And I was pretty not on that boat yet. I was not on that boat. I did not think they were going to get to 6 wins because we had not seen it all be put together. And they had a statement of intent in that Tech game where they played so well in that game. And it all came together in that Tech game after the bye, after the Iowa State loss, 3 straight losses, where I think to a man, we were like, yeah, maybe this team can do it. Because what we saw on that day was pretty impressive. And then they just kept backing it up and backing it up. And it's become a hell of a ride for 6 straight wins. And let me say this, like, we are so bogged down these days in college football. We are so bogged down into championships and the playoff and the rankings. And that stuff's all well and good, right? Like, that is what we're ultimately playing for. At Baylor, you've seen the last decade, they could play for championships. That is the ultimate goal. But what gets lost in that is something like what we've just seen over the last 6 games, where a team was dead in the water and their coach was dead in the water. and they picked themselves up by their bootstraps. They handled that adversity. They didn't make excuses, and they completely turned it around. They shocked all of us. And they knew there was no playoff. There's probably no Big 12 championship. They knew that. But what they were playing for was their coaches, us, the guys next to them, and to build on something, to build the foundation of something. And that's what we've seen over the last 2 months. We get obsessed with the results and not necessarily the process. But what we've seen here is one hell of a process. Don't be mad that they're not going to make the Big 12 championship game. It would have been great, but it would have been far-fetched, right? Don't be mad at that. Enjoy what we just saw. We came in to a final home game, senior day, against a red-hot team that just wanted your pelt on the wall more than anything. Returning OC, they want to make a bowl game. They want to finish their own running style. And you picked them apart. That was one awesome day at the office. College football is about championships the way all sports are. But what college football is also about is days. We just had a day. We just had 6 days in a row. Be happy about that in the process. That they were 2-4. Nobody thought they'd finish 8-4. And here they are, except the guys in that locker room. It's okay to celebrate something like this. Because you guys, I know you work with Longhorns and Aggies and Sooners, and even some Horned Frogs will tell you, look, seriously, you're celebrating 8-4? Yeah, celebrate this. Because this has been one hell of a ride, and it's been a ton of fun. And you're going to seal off a pretty damn good recruiting class this week for 2025. And then you're going to play in a bowl game, which you didn't do last year, which most of us didn't want 2 years ago. You're going to go out there and you're going to play another game. You're probably going to play an SEC team, and you're probably going to take it to them. Because that's the supreme confidence and edge that this team has been playing with. Those championships, the way this team is playing and the foundation that they have laid, the championships are going to be there. They're going to have shots, real legitimate shots at those, and probably that playoff with the guys they've got coming back. That's not unreasonable, but that's something to talk about later. This has been a ton of fun. And again, at 6 straight wins, you are one of the hottest teams in the country. There are not many teams out there, not many fan bases that can talk about 6 straight wins, and not many fan bases that can feel as good about their team and their program as you can right now. As low as it was last year and as low as it was at the beginning of last month, you've got that in your back pocket now. Enjoy the heck out of this. This is a ton of fun. I love this team. I love this program. I love this school. I love those players out there who turn this thing around. So many teams would have just laid down at 2-4 and not thinking that their goals were still in front of them. This team did not. And while this defense has been up and down this year, and it's been a rough stretch for most of his time here, credit Dave Aranda. He kept these kids on the straight and narrow. And his staff. And some staff members who come in here with no guarantees, by the way. Who are the 2 biggest assistants that's had the biggest impact on the way the program is right now at this moment? Jake Spavital and Keenan Hall, with this unbelievable offense they've put together and the great recruiting class and the awesome running backs room. Jake Spavital and Keenan Hall. They come in here on a wing and a prayer. Okay? They come in here taking a big-time chance with a coach who could be fired before the end of the first month, and they're nomads again. There was no guarantees with this deal and this situation. And they didn't make excuses. They stayed the course, and that's how you get what you get right now. let's go to some fan comments because this is awesome. This is a lot to this is a lot to go through here. Yeah, the first one on here that I see. Oh, to have that CU game back. Yep. That stinks. That stinks. And I think we had that feeling that we could look back on that in this way, but you can't have it back. It's too bad. We'd all want it back, but this is a lot of fun. They have not beat Kansas has not beat Baylor in 15 years, man. I think I was in the 7th grade when that happened. I like this comment from Will. I'd like to know what you guys think about this. If Baylor were somehow to make it to the Big 12 championship game, they would be the favorite, no matter who they were playing. But Arizona cannot help us out. Yeah, Arizona was one of those preseason favorites. They stink. I think this is true. I mean, seriously, you put them up against Colorado, BYU, Arizona State right now. They're a favorite in that game. The way they're playing, the way their offense has been humming, and the way that none of those defenses really jump off the page anymore. BYU's would have a couple weeks ago, but this is a Baylor team that scored 28 on them, and they spotted them the first half. So, yes, I would like their chances in any one of those matchups, which is crazy. I mean, we can play this the way that TCU did after not making the playoff in 2014 and had that sign at the championship game that said winner plays TCU. We could do that. Or we could just go ahead and win it next year. My thoughts on the matter. But yeah, I think they're that good right now that they would be a real legit favorite in any of those matchups. Colorado, BYU, Iowa State, and the other one, Arizona State. Yep, I really think so. This conference is crazy. I don't know if you guys have seen Joey McGuire's little rant in his post game about the disrespect of the Big 12, but he hit the nail on the head. See, I knew I still liked Joey. That's going to be part of the show probably Monday. But it was great that he kind of went out there and was like, you guys are getting it wrong. And this is one hell of a conference, and it's so fun. It's so fun. Encore says, this team reminds me of Green Bay. So many weapons that literally anyone can have a breakout game. They look like Green Bay out there on the field too, both in their style and in the uniforms. That is something, though, that has been a big part of this win streak is you've had Sawyer Robertson pretty much every game having a good game and balling out on this streak. Same with Bryson Washington. But whenever these guys were called upon, be it Josh Cameron, be it Michael Trigg last week, be it Hal Presley, be it Monterey Baldwin today, be it Dawson Pendergrass against Oklahoma State, they all come through. Scott says, where are the Fire Aranda jerks? Well, I was one of them. And I'm sure there are many in this chat that were too. But I'll own it. I had it wrong. I didn't think at this point in his tenure there that the message could not be stale and that they could turn it around. But he proved me wrong. Long may it continue. And I do think this defense is making improvements. But that is something that will need to still get better as this thing goes along. Welcome to paradise. If we keep this up, the future of Baylor football looks great. Yeah, it does. And that's something we're going to hit over the next couple of weeks here. And then, of course, really hard in the offseason. But the future is very bright for this program, which is an awesome feeling. It's just, yeah, it's so great with these players that you have returning. You have almost all of your skill position guys returning, which wasn't very kind to Oklahoma State this year. So there is a warning sign there, but I was wishy-washy on Oklahoma State's quarterback coming into this year. I am very confident in Baylor's quarterback next year, and a pretty veteran-laden offensive line coming back and starting at a better starting point than than they did this year. Will says Spavital has saved this Baylor team. I agree. There are plenty that you could talk about in there. But yes, Jake Spavital, unfortunately for us, his phone will be ringing off the hook here in the next, week and a half. Once a lot of teams already have their season done or are preparing for a bowl game and are starting to fill out staffs. Absolutely. You will hear Jake Spavital's name a lot. Please, God, keep him here. Jay Demas says, happy to see Aranda with emotions. At first touchdown Kansas scored after the half, he was coaching with emotion. I'm glad to hear that because the only time I was kind of looking for that was after the penalty flag was picked up on Kansas's first touchdown. They were going to call a hold, and then they picked up the flag. And I've obviously seen plenty of refs getting together and conferencing and picking up a flag, but usually it's for things like, maybe defensive holding or defensive pass interference or, too many men on the field, illegal shifts, intentional grounding is a big one, or targeting. That's when they get together and they conference about it. I don't think I've ever seen refs come together and talk and pick up an offensive holding penalty. Like, it was weird. And it was a penalty. It didn't last very long, but it's kind of ticky-tack. But once you throw the flag, that's a penalty. Shrike, it's so damn sad to see this fan base so excited for beating effing Kansas. Dude, if that's how you're going to be, then why watch? Because they're only playing Kansas today. And if you're not going to be excited about 6 straight wins, then you're going to live a pretty miserable friggin' life. Like, I'm sorry. I know there are people who think the standard should be higher than this, and it's going to get to that. They won 3 games last year, and they just won 6 in a row. Like, appreciate anything, man. Golly, touch some grass, man. This is a fun thing, okay? This is not Alabama. This is not Georgia. You can be happy about winning 6 games. And if you're not going to be, then guess what? I wouldn't listen to the pod. It's growing every day. I love the viewers and I love the listeners, and I'm happy that you do. But if that's going to bother you, I'm sorry. I'm not going to knock a 6-game winning streak. I'm just not. And here we go. Mitch, I don't know who needs to hear this, but Dave is still an S coach. I don't agree. I wouldn't say that, again, his defense, his play calling, his defense has not been great throughout this winning streak, but he went from 2-4 to 8-4. Like, is this just us? Like, I don't think any other fan base is going on a 6-game winning streak and talking about how bad the team is and how that win sucked and how the coach sucks. What has become of us? Like, what are you guys? I can't let that get to me today because it's been so much fun. In fact, Chuck, my guy Chuck, who Chuck will agree, will throw down on Dave Aranda whenever possible. Even Chuck is in the comment section saying, nice win today. It was, Chuck. It was a nice win. And Mitch thinks it's as irrelevant as it's ever been. I couldn't disagree more. I'm sorry. I couldn't disagree more. We got some Buffs fans in the comment section congratulating us. Thank you. I don't know. Did that help Colorado? I know the Tech game did. Yeah, Mitch is not a fan, so it's whatever. Yep, Samuel Austin says, I was ready to fire him after last year, so was I. And to turn that around is a big time props to him. Now Mitch is saying we, brother. You're not a Baylor fan. Don't say we. The first position we should improve is the head coach. You're not a Baylor fan, bro. You just said, I hope Dave stays for the next 20 years so you Dave Simps can wallow in mediocrity. And then you're calling Baylor we? You're not a fan, brother. You're not, which is okay. I would love for you to still watch and comment on the show because it puts money in my pocket. So I really appreciate that. But you're not a fan. You can't say we if you're saying you want a guy you think sucks to stay here for 20 years. That is a really miserable existence. Yeah, Scotty B putting out there that Pete Thamel reporting the UCF head coach, Gus Malzahn, is now the OC at Florida State. I knew he wasn't coming back. I saw that, but I had not seen the Florida State part. Wow. Interesting. UCF was in a bad way. Freaking lose to Utah, man. Thank you to Moses, who's new to the channel. Appreciate you guys that are new. Give us the Aggies. I'll take the Aggies. Aggies could be SEC champs, which would not be good for us because we don't want the Aggies winning conference championships, but would be good for the Big 12. Because if you can have a 9-3 or a 3-loss Aggie team going to the SEC championship and winning it, like that is good ammo. That is a good ammo for the Big 12. So that would be great. Yeah, these guys are not Baylor fans. It's okay, y'all. Billy says we've grown enough to have haters come on the podcast. Way to go. Yes, they've been lurking in the shadows for a while now, and now they're coming on and joining live on YouTube. So I love that, man. It really helps. It helps the channel out a ton, and you guys are a huge part of that. The haters and the lovers, man. You guys have been huge for the growth of this channel. It's been a ton of fun to see how much this channel has grown over the last year and really since Drake took it over in 2022. I know it's pretty divisive to talk about Drake Toll, but he took over this thing and it was nothing. And I was lucky enough to follow in his footsteps, and we've grown it tremendously. And I absolutely love what you guys have done for me and for this channel. And I almost get emotional talking about it because this has been such a fun season, and we are crushing our best numbers ever this last month. I mean, the most watched, we had some insanely highly viewed videos. All of the videos right now on YouTube, especially, are getting big time viewership, and we're getting big time listenership on the podcast. So guys, seriously, I don't plead for it a lot, but it really helps the channel if you like and subscribe. So if you like the video, I mean, we got so many people. We got over 70 in the live chat right now. Let's get this up to 100 likes on YouTube. That helps out a ton. So like. I usually have a fan in here saying to like it. So go ahead and like. That's a huge help for us. We're not done here just yet. Daniel says, do you think Richard Reese transfers? I don't know much about what's going on inside that locker room, but I think that, yes, he probably will. Just because he's a guy who's shown a lot on tape and he's not getting a lot of touches this year. Again, don't have anything to say that he's disgruntled or anything like that. He seems to be in good spirits. We're not hearing about him on social media or anything like that. So I do think he transfers just because he'll have a shot to play somewhere, and he's already shown some good film from his freshman year. And it's a logjam right now with Dawson Pendergrass and Bryson Washington. And we already saw Dominic Richardson leave probably because of that same reason. Robbie asks a good question. Top 25? ? They received votes last week. They could crack it this week. I will say they will finish the season in the top 25. That final rankings will be in the top 25. Especially, 9-4, they'll be there. We see 5 lost teams in the top 25. I don't know that they get there this week. They will receive votes. If they get to 9-4, they will be in the top 25. And Ryan brings up a good point as we look up to next year. Opening with Auburn at McLean. Like, if you can't make a great atmosphere for that, I don't know what to say. And it has been a struggle to get a great atmosphere out here. But top 25 next week, we'll have to wait and see. Big 12 championship game next week? Probably not. 28-0 Sun Devils, probably not going to happen, but at least we can take a nap now and not have to wait till midnight to find out if they were actually going to go. And we will go through all the bowl projections because that's going to be coming out early part of this week. We're going to be talking about that, where Bayor could be playing, whom they could be playing. We've also got a massive basketball game this week with UConn. We're going to have a special guest on this week as well to really break down and preview what is now a scuffling UConn team. UConn might not be ranked. Baylor will be, as much as they've kind of struggled at points against top 25 teams. They might luck out and UConn might not be top 25. So we will see. We will look at that. I'm going to be on the road some this week, so you're going to have all the shows. But If you watch on YouTube, you might see me in some hotel rooms and things of that nature, because I will be traveling a lot throughout this week. In fact, this was my last game at McLean Stadium for maybe ever, definitely the foreseeable future, but you will still see me here on your favorite show. Thank you for making it your first listen today and every day. And thank you for the big time views this month. And thank you for making this an absolute monster in Baylor football postgame. Like, I get obsessive about these things, and we are crushing everyone else in Baylor football postgame coverage and really Baylor football coverage throughout the week. And it's because of you guys, and I appreciate the heck out of that. So again, if you like the video, like it. That helps a ton. Get involved in the comment section. Let me know what you think about this team, what bowl you want them to go to, what's been the source of the turnaround, or if you really believe it, tell me why we shouldn't be happy about this and why you still think the coach sucks. I'll take those comments too. Drop it down in the comment section below. Again, you can like and subscribe, hit that notification button to get notified every time we're dropping a video on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. It's the only place that's coming to you with exclusive Bayor content 5 days a week, and here on the weekends as well, that's not directly tied in to Baylor University. And we're so proud of that. So thank you again for making it your first listen today and every day. We will see you Monday on your favorite show, Locked On Baylor.